You're listening to the Teaching Toolbox with Brittany and Ellie. Join them as they talk all things middle school.
Hey there, teachers, mentors, champions of the classroom. Welcome back to the Teaching Toolbox. I'm Brittany, here to help you pack your pedagogical toolbox with all the good stuff.
And I'm Ellie, your co-host, a former Diet Coke lover turned coffee lover, and someone who firmly believes that the last month of school can feel longer than all the others combined. Does anyone else know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it definitely drags, but yet feels extremely fast at the same time. But here's the thing, friends. Just because the school year's wrapping up doesn't mean our work is done. In fact, this is prime time for something super important. Giving your students the kind of feedback that doesn't just slap a period at the end of the year, but leaves them feeling seen, motivated, and ready to crush what's next.
Yep, we're thinking report card comments, one-on-one chats, end-of-year conferences, the whole shebang. So today we're digging into how to give constructive feedback that's honest, uplifting, and rooted in growth. We've got research, we've got real talk, we've got tips. Basically, we've got your back.
So let's kick things off with a quick reality check. Feedback matters all year, but there's something special about this time of year. It's like the finale episode of a great series. Students are reflecting, teachers are reflecting. It's the perfect time to tie it all together with meaningful commentary.
Exactly. And research backs this up. According to a 2019 study from the Journal of Educational Psychology, students who receive specific, constructive feedback at the end of the year show 23% higher levels of motivation going into the next academic year, compared to those who only get generic praise or a final grade.
23%? That's a solid bump. Think about what that could mean for your students. And here's another kicker. Edutopia reported that when feedback includes honest reflections plus a recognition of growth, students are more likely to set personal learning goals for the next year. So we're not just closing a chapter, we're giving them the pen to start the next one.
And honestly, some of our students, especially those who've struggled, need that kind of affirmation to shift how they see themselves as learners. One study from the Learning Sciences Institute showed that students who felt their teacher noticed their growth, even small steps, were far more likely to re-engage positively the next fall. Okay, let's get into the how. Tip number 1 in how we can do this is be honest, but frame it through the lens of growth. Sugarcoating is not helpful, and we all know kids can tell when you're insincere.
Indeed. There's a great quote from educator Grant Wiggins who said, "Effective feedback is not praise or evaluation. It is information about how we are doing in our efforts to reach a goal."
I love that. So instead of just saying, hey, you did a great job, make it real and specific, like, you've developed a much stronger writing voice this semester, especially in the persuasive essays. One thing to focus on next year could be using more evidence to support your points.
Bam! That was honest, actionable, and encouraging. And it builds trust. A 2020 article in Educational Leadership Quarterly found that students responded best to what they called growth-oriented honesty. That means being real with them without being harsh. And that can be a real fine line. But when you can walk it well, it'll strengthen your relationship with students.
Yeah, and that's a fine line that is different for every student, because this student may take something as more harsh than this student. And so you have to know your audience, know your student, which one is going to be able to handle something that sounds a little bit more critical versus not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where the building relationships with your kids really comes into play.
Right. Another practical strategy is the WWW EBI model, which is what went well, and even better if. You can use this in conferences, comments, or even casual chats. Like you could use this in the hallway during a check-in as you're just walking down the hall. You could do something like, what went well was you stayed really focused during your labs. It would be even better if you start just double checking your data before turning it in.
Yeah, that's great. I love that one. It creates a balanced dialogue. Like, what went well is that you really stepped up in group projects. But it would be even better if I could hear you continue speaking up more during all class discussions. See, it's kind of clear, kind, and constructive.
Yeah, when you start with something that is complimentary and giving them an idea of what they did well, then that really helps them hold on to that part as you go into the even better if.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about one-on-ones. And I know what you're thinking. Ellie, I barely have time to eat lunch. How am I supposed to squeeze in one-on-one conferences with 30 students per class?
We get it, but hear us out. These conversations don't have to be long. Even 3 to 5 minutes for students can make a massive impact. In fact, a 2021 Harvard Graduate School of Education study found that brief, individualized feedback sessions increased students' sense of belonging by 30%.
Oh, that's huge. And so it's not like a formal sit down with a PowerPoint presentation. You can just pull a student aside during work time, walk with them on the way to lunch, catch them after class. It's the personal attention that sticks. And where we said 3 to 5 minutes, I'm thinking, even 30 seconds, a minute, 15 seconds. I mean, 15 seconds can sometimes be longer than you think, or 30 seconds can be longer than you think. And it's just a tiny little touch point that you should be able to do with each kid,
And if it's meaningful
Yeah.
and impactful, that's going to mean the most thing to them.
Absolutely. And even a sticky note on their desk or a quick voice note in a digital platform can feel one-on-one if it's personal. The key is just to be specific, student-centered, and sincere.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the power of eye contact and genuinely saying, hey, I've noticed how much effort you've put in this year. Here's something I think you're ready to level up on.
I like that, yeah. And it opens the door for students to share their own reflections. You can ask them what's something you're proud of this year, or what's something you want to get better at next year. And when they tell you, you can use that insight to inform how you shape your report card comments if possible, or frame your final encouragement to them.
All right, so let's move on to report card comments. Let's be real. This is where some of us are tempted to just default to, Johnny was a pleasure to have in class. Sarah was a pleasure to have in class. Timmy was a pleasure to have in class.
Yeah, I always got that one because I was so pleasant. But also, since they could handwrite their comments back then, I always got the comment that Ellen is too quiet and Ellen needs to speak up in class. And I am not at all resentful about that. I appreciate the fact that they pointed out my quietness. We have all defaulted to the generic comments, but we can do better. Your comments should add value, not just fill space. And I know it's tough, though, if you have computerized report cards that only have certain comments to select from. Like sometimes nothing just seems to fit exactly right. And I know there were times that I would just be like, okay, nothing fits. I'm going to have to go with this one because I couldn't add anything else. But if you are able to add some of your own comments, they can make such an impact. And if you even have time to write a tiny note on there by hand, when you give them their physical report card and not just stick with all of the comments that are in there, that's super impactful. You can kind of think of it like writing a note to the student's future teacher and to their family with these comments. What does the family need to know to support this child's continued growth?
One strategy is to use 3 key pillars: growth, strengths, next steps. For example, Johnny has shown significant growth in his problem-solving skills, particularly in math. He demonstrates strong perseverance when faced with challenging tasks. Moving forward, continuing to ask clarifying questions will further support his success.
This shows that you know the student, you've been paying attention to them, and you believe in their continued development. Parents love that level of detail. I know I
Yes.
certainly would love that as a parent. And students do too, even if they don't actually say it out loud. So one thing we really want to emphasize, though, is this is not about inflating students' egos or glossing over areas they need to improve in.
Yes, kids are smart. They appreciate when adults are real with them. But you can be real without having to be harsh. It's the difference between saying, you're bad at time management versus, I've noticed time management has been a challenge. I believe with some planning strategies or prioritization work, you can really grow in that area.
There's the key word, believe. Let them know you believe in their ability to improve. Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset shows that when students feel their effort matters, they are more likely to persist. And that's something we want to build in them, is persistence.
Yes. All right, toolbox time. Let's recap some practical tools you can use starting today.
Okay, tool number 1, use the WWWEBI method, what went well, and even better if. This is quick, balanced, and super effective.
Tool 2, carve out 5-minute one-on-one chats, even if it's during transition times, independent work, or even recess duty.
Okay, tool number 3, structure report card comments around growth, strengths, and next steps, and ditch the generic when and if you can.
And tool 4, keep it honest but hopeful. Be frank, be real, but always leave the student knowing you believe in their future success.
Well, that is a wrap on today's episode. Remember, the way you close out the year leaves a lasting impression. It's like the final scene in a movie. Make it count.
Your feedback can be the fuel that propels your students into summer and beyond. So let's make it thoughtful, intentional, and packed with belief in their potential.
And hey, you're almost at the finish line too. Don't forget to give yourself a little feedback, like you crushed it this year.
Yes, you did. So see you next time on the Teaching Toolbox. Same time, same place. Always packed with tools to make your teaching life easier and better. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
You just listened to the Teaching Toolbox. Follow them on your favorite platform for more episodes and share it with a friend.